pupils, and welcome to the channel Daniel Spelling. In today's lesson, we are going to learn active voice versus passive voice. If you want to master this topic, please stay.
Welcome to Language Adventure with Tanya. Imagine exploring the world through its languages. Picture yourself strolling past the Eiffel Tower, diving into the rich history of Germany, or savoring the vibrant culture of Spain. Each language opens a door to new experiences, friendships, and understanding. Whether you're mastering English, dancing to Korean rhythms, or savoring French cuisine, every word you learn is a step on this exciting journey. Let's embark on this adventure together and unlock the beauty of communication across the globe.
Introduction. When we speak or write in English, we can express an idea in two ways. In active voice, the subject performs the action. In passive voice, the subject receives the action. Understanding both is essential for clear communication. The active voice is direct and dynamic, while the passive voice is useful when the door of the action is unknown or less important. But let's see more. So now let's see active versus passive voice. The active voice, um, the subject performs the action of the verb, and we have the structure subject in pink plus verb in red plus the object. For example, the teacher explained the lesson. If you see here, the teacher is the subject of the sentence, and the verb is explained, and the object the lesson. Then we have she wrote a letter. Then we have what is the passive voice. In the passive voice, the object of the active sentence becomes the subject, and the verb is formed with the verb to be plus the past participle of the main verb. Do you remember the past participle, right? And if you don't, I recommend you to watch my video about verbs and you will find everything there. And then we have the structure for passive voice object in white plus the verb be that in this case will be like an auxiliary verb, and then we have the past participle of the verb, the third conjugation. Then we have like the preposition by and subject optional. So be careful in those details, guys. And we have, for example, the lesson was explained by the teacher. If you see here, the object is the lesson and the verb be was in past, right? Because we are talking about past. Was explained, the third conjugation of the verb, the past participle, right? By the teacher, by subject, this is optional. Then we have a letter was written by her. Then we have active versus passive voice, basic differences between them. We have active voice. The chef cooks the meal. In passive voice will be the meal is cooked by the chef. In active voice, then we have they completed the project. And in passive voice, we have the project was completed by them. And then we have she has written a book. And in passive voice, we have a book has been written by her. So now guys, let's see some examples in different tenses. For example, in present simple, we have active. The teacher explains the rules. In passive voice, it will be the rules are explained by the teacher. Then we have in past simple, in active voice, we have they built the house in 1990. Then we have in passive, the house was built in 1990s. Then we have in present continuous. In active, we have the company is developing a new app. In passive voice, it will be a new app is being developed by the company. Then we have in past continuous. In active, the worker were repairing the road. In passive, it will be the road was being repaired by the workers. Then we have in present perfect. Scientists have discovered a new planet. In passive will be a new planet has been discovered by scientists. Then we have the past perfect. They had finished the project before the deadline. In passive, the project has been finished before the deadline. I hope, guys, that is more clear how you will use passive and active voice. Let's see more examples. We have in future simple active. They will announce the winners tomorrow. In passive, the winners will be announced tomorrow. Then we have in modal verbs, you remember can, should, must, may, etc. And if you don't, I recommend you to watch my video about the modals. I explain them one by one for you to understand better the differences and uses of them. And we have, for example, in active voice, you must follow the instructions, and in passive, the instructions must be followed. If you see here, we didn't add by because it's not needed to add by because we can add any more information, right? Then we have um, in models, she can solve this problem. This problem can be solved by her. Then we have is it important to know both voices? And the answers are just right here, guys. Number one, we have clarity. The active voice is clearer and more direct. Then we have emphasis. The passive voice highlights the object or result. Then we have professionalism. The passive voice is common in reports, news, and academic writing. And then we have variety. Using both makes English more natural and, of course, fluent. I hope that you understand why it's important that you know active and passive voice. Then we have here how to transform active into passive voice. For example, in present simple, in active, we say the chef cooks the meal. But in passive, the meal is cooked by the chef. There are short and little differences between them, but at the end are like the same, right? It's just to add or delete some words. Then we have in past simple, they cleaned the house. In passive, the house was cleaned by them. Then we have how to transform active into passive. In present perfect, she has finished the report. In passive, the report has been finished by her. In future simple, the company will launch a new product. In passive, a new product will be launched by the company. If you see in passive, it's like we focus on the subject, on what is the subject doing in the sentence. But in passive is inactive is like the contrary. So be careful in those details. So now guys, let's see some tips for using active and passive voice correctly. Use the active voice when you want a sentence to be clear and direct. Use the passive voice when the doer of the action is unknown or unimportant, or when the object is more relevant. And then we have avoiding over overusing the passive voice in informal writing, as it can make sentences sound rigid. Then we have informal or academic context. The passive voice is useful for reports and objective descriptions. Then we have here common mistakes and tips. Don't, like don't do, right? Don't, no. Don't overuse the passive voice. It can make sentences sound unnatural or complicated. Make sure the verb tense into V matches the original sentence. Remember that some verbs don't usually have passive form. For example, have, belong, and exist. Keep in mind those, and you will speak English like a pro. Be careful in avoiding those common mistakes and hear the right tips, right? So now guys, after all the information that I give you about active and passive voice, it's time to make an activity time. Don't be afraid, I'm here to help you. If you write down below the answers, right? And the practice says, convert to passive voice these sentences. Try changing these active sentences into passive. For example, they are painting the house. The manager gave him a promotion. They will finish a project next week. Someone has stolen my phone. The teacher is checking the exams. So, guys, I'm 100% sure that you already know all the answers, and that's why I'll be reading those comments. So, if you have the answers, don't be afraid, please. All of us make mistakes. It's part of the life, especially when we are learning something new like English. So, don't be afraid. I'm here to help you. Write down below in the comments your answers, and I'll be reading those comments. So thank you guys. Don't forget to give a like and hit the bell button and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to write down below your answers to correct or tell. Great job. See you in the next lesson.